I drove a 2001 Dodge Cummins for 15 years. I put 350,000 miles on it. My wife finally talked me into an upgrade, so I bought a 2003 with a 5.9. Well, it broke down on me the other day, and I did some research, figure out what was going on, and I found out that these have a different fuel injection system. You guys are probably laughing at me, but this is the common rail diesel engine, which is a pressurized fuel rail that supplies fuel to the injectors. Pretty interesting, I thought. Quite different than the old 2001 5.9 with the mechanical rotary type fuel injector that was timed to the engine. The 2003 third gen model here has a smaller fuel injector, not timed, so there's no keyway, and a lot more room down there because it's so much smaller. The injectors are operated by the ECM, so you have a connector there for the injectors located on top of the head, and then you got a connector there. Another interesting thing is it has 3 fuel return lines. It has a fuel return line there on top of the fuel rail. That goes back to the injector pump. It has a return line at the injector pump, the upper one there. And then it has a third one in the back, the very back. It comes right out the back of the head, and it returns to the fuel filter and then on out to the tank. When I was doing my research here, I found this return line on the back of the head. I couldn't figure out why there would be a return line there. Well, it turns out that these injectors have overrun fuel, and there's a line that runs right down the middle of the head and returns fuel back to the tank. Another thing that I learned was that if you run these things out of fuel, not to worry. The 2001 5.9 gave me fits. If I run that thing out of fuel, I would sit here and go through a couple batteries before I got it started. Well, the CP3 fuel injector has got a little fuel module right down there. That wire connector is, and it separates air from the fuel. So when fuel goes into your common rail, there's no air in it. So you can start these bad boys. Pretty cool. Well, it broke down the other day, and I found out that this 4th fuel line, I already took it off. It came off right there. Fuel line number 4 fails on a regular basis. It was spilling diesel all over the place. I had diesel squirted everywhere. I shut it down, and because the fuel line was broken, had a couple holes in it, it depressurized this common rail. And if the common rail is depressurized, the vehicle won't start. That's why I've got the ether, by the way. It'll start with ether, but it won't start on its own because this common rail has to be pressurized for it to work. Pretty interesting stuff. I've just been too used to the old 5.9 with the VP44. Pretty interesting system. Quite the learning curve for me. Anyway, here's the old fuel line. It was leaking at the sleeve nut. Had a couple holes in it. Right here there was some holes. I don't see them now, but they were there. I saw them. I had my son crank the motor over, and they squirted fuel everywhere. So I got the new one here. Where'd my new one go? Right here's the new fuel line. When I called the parts house, they said, oh yeah, those things fail all the time. We keep those in stock. So, you've got a 3/4 or 19 box wrench for the nuts, and you have its number 10 millimeter for the bolt to take off the bracket. Pretty simple fix. Nothing to it. So if this happens to you, don't stress. Easy to repair. I hope this helps.